Commander Bohr's hand shook as she gripped the tactical console. Red warning lights bathed the command center in an angry glow. On her main screen, another Zilani colony ship disappeared in a brilliant flash of fire and debris. 3 million souls, gone in an instant. Contacts, bearing 27 Mark 8, called out Lieutenant Hayon from his sensor station. 12 more Krex bioships incoming. They're moving fast. Bara watched the nightmare unfold before her eyes. The Krex swarm moved like a living tide of death across the star map. Their ships weren't built, they were grown. Massive organic creatures bred for one purpose, to consume everything in their path. Defense Platform Charlie is requesting immediate support, reported Communications Officer Dahl. His voice cracked with stress. They're being overrun. Through the viewport, Biora could see the distant flashes of battle. The Confederation's most advanced energy weapons struck the Krex ships like raindrops on stone. Their bioadaptive armor simply absorbed the blasts and grew stronger. Every shot the defenders fired only made their enemies harder to kill. High Command, this is Outpost Gamma, Biora transmitted into her headset. Static crackled back at her. We need immediate reinforcement. The Krex are breaking through Sector 7. Our weapons are useless against them. She waited for a response. Nothing but white noise filled her ears. Commander Dahl called out, his forearms working frantically. Over his console, Defense Platform Charlie just went dark. No survivors. Biora closed her eyes for a moment. Charlie had been home to 50,000 military personnel and their families. Good people. Brave people. All dead because the Confederation's weapons couldn't pierce Krex bioarmor. Another explosion lit up the darkness. This time it was closer. Much closer. They're adapting to our shield frequencies, reported Lieutenant Han. Each hit makes them stronger. It's like they're learning from our attacks. Biora had fought in 12 campaigns across her career. She'd seen pirates, rebels, and hostile aliens, but nothing like this. The Krex weren't just conquering territory, they were consuming it. Entire worlds stripped bare, their populations harvested for biomass to fuel the swarm's growth. Ma'am Dahl's voice was barely a whisper. Long-range sensors show Krex forces moving toward the inner colonies. Millions of civilians with no military protection. The truth hit her like a physical blow. Confederation was losing. Not just this battle, but the entire war. A most advanced civilization, their energy shields and quantum computers, meant nothing against an enemy that ate technology and grew stronger from every attack. Biora turned to Dahl, her decision made. Send the galaxy-wide distress beacon. All frequencies. Include our complete tech databases. Dahl's eyes went wide. Commander, that violates every non-interference protocol we have. The Council will court-martial us for revealing our location to unknown species. The Council will be dead if we don't try something different, Biora replied. Her voice was steady now, resigned to whatever consequences would come. Broadcast everything. Star charts, our technology, our military capabilities. Offer it. All to anyone willing to help. But what if something worse than the Krex answers? Biora watched another ship die on her screen. Nothing could be worse than this. Ambassador Jin's crystalline body pulsed with nervous energy as she faced the High Council. The massive chamber felt smaller than usual, filled with the weight of impending doom. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows on the curved walls, and the air recyclers worked overtime to handle the stress pheromones from dozens of different alien species. Council members Janae began, her voice echoing through the translation devices. The beacon has been broadcasting for 2 full cycles now.
Ow.
Our message has reached every corner of known space. Elder Vextai shifted uncomfortably in his floating chair, his tentacles coiling and uncoiling with anxiety. And what responses have we received, Ambassador? Janae's form dimmed slightly. The Altarian Empire sent a formal diplomatic note. They're sealing their borders and wish us luck. The vegan collective hasn't even acknowledged our transmission. A ripple of dismay ran through the assembled council members. The Zalorians clicked their mandibles in distress, while the aquatic delegation's gills fluttered rapidly. What about the Centauri Federation? Asked Councillor Minho, his scaled hide shifting from blue to worried purple. Radio silence, Janae replied. Same with the Tau stations and the Alpha Proxima Alliance. They're all pulling back their fleets to defend their home systems. Elder Vextai's tentacles writhed more violently. So we're alone. After 300 years of trade and diplomacy, when we need help the most, our allies abandon us. Janae activated the holographic display at the center of the chamber. Beautiful blue light filled the space as their most advanced technologies appeared in miniature. Fusion drives that could power entire star systems. Quantum computers capable of calculating faster-than-light jumps. Medical nanites that could repair tissue at the cellular level. Look at what we're offering, she said desperately. Any civilization would benefit from these technologies. Our fusion drives are decades ahead of most species. Our medical technology could extend lifespans by centuries. Counselor So Young leaned forward, her insectoid features grim. Perhaps. Our technology isn't as valuable as we thought, or perhaps other species know something we don't about fighting the Kreks. What do you mean? Janae asked. Think about it, Soyoung continued. The Kreks have been expanding for 50 years. They've consumed dozens of minor civilizations, yet none of the major powers have formed an alliance to stop them. Why? The chamber fell silent, except for the hum of life support systems. The question hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Elder Vextai spoke slowly, because they know the Kreks can't be stopped with conventional weapons. Every energy blast makes them stronger. Every attack teaches them how to adapt. Janae's crystalline form flickered. Brighter with determination, then we keep broadcasting. We expand the search parameters. There are thousands of unexplored systems out there. Younger civilizations we've never contacted. Primitive species. Counselor Minho scoffed. What could they possibly offer that our advanced allies cannot? Desperation breeds innovation, Janae replied. Sometimes the most unexpected solutions come from the most unlikely sources. Deep in space, the beacon continued its lonely song. Each pulse carried the same message. Help us, and we'll share everything we know. The transmission reached far beyond civilized space, into regions marked as dangerous or uninhabitable on every star chart. In one small, unremarkable system, something finally heard their call. Lieutenant Min nearly spilled his coffee when the alert klaxon screamed through Deep Space Monitoring Station Luna 7, the cramped facility. Built into an asteroid at the edge of the solar system, rarely saw this much excitement. Most days, the crew monitored routine cargo transmissions and tracked space debris. "What have we got, Min?" called Sergeant Doc from across the control room. Not looking up from his maintenance checklist, Min's fingers flew across his console, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Unknown transmission, sir. It's not coming from any human colony or ship. The signal strength suggests it originated thousands of light years away." The other technicians stopped their work and gathered around Min's station. On the main screen, waves of data cascaded in patterns none of them had ever seen before. "Could be a pulsar," suggested Technician Yoon. "Sometimes they create weird interference." Min shook his head. "No, this is artificial. Look at the mathematical structures embedded in the signal. It's definitely intelligent, and it's trying to communicate." The station's quantum computer worked for 6 hours to decode the transmission. As the translation algorithms finally cracked the alien language, Min felt his blood run cold. The message wasn't a greeting or scientific exchange. It was a desperate cry for help. "Admiral Han, you need..." To see this immediately, Min transmitted to Earth Command. 3 hours later, Admiral Han materialized on the station's holographic communicator. Its weathered face, marked by decades of military service, studied the decoded message with growing intensity. The alien text scrolled past, describing worlds burning, populations fleeing, and weapons that seemed useless against an unstoppable enemy. "They're offering their entire technological database," Min explained. "Fusion drives, medical technology, quantum computers. Everything they have in exchange. For military assistance?" Admiral Han rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "What do we know about these Kreks they're fighting?" "From their description, sir, they sound like a biomechanical swarm. They adapt to energy weapons and grow stronger from each attack," the aliens say. "Con Tio, NTIONAL, warfare, is useless against them. Conventional by their standards, Han replied with a slight smile. Send this to the Terran Assembly immediately. Full priority transmission. Within 12 hours, every human government representative had reviewed the alien distress call. The debate lasted exactly 47 minutes. The vote was unanimous. Admiral Han stood in the briefing room aboard the orbital station above Earth. Addressing his senior staff, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to war. Not for territory, not for resources, but because an entire civilization is about to be wiped out." Captain, you raised her hand. We don't know what we're flying into. Their technology seems more advanced than ours in many ways. Maybe, Han acknowledged. But they're losing to an enemy that adapts to energy weapons. Good thing we humans never learned to rely on fancy technology alone. Activated the holographic display showing Earth's fleet capabilities. Kinetic weapons, nuclear warheads, chemical, explosives, and projectile weapons filled the screen. Prep the Third Fleet, Han ordered. Every available ship. If these creks want to see what happens when they threaten civilians, we'll give them a proper Earth welcome. Sir, Captain, you persisted. We have no idea what kind of enemy we're facing. Admiral Han's smile turned predatory. Then it'll be interesting. Captain? You watched through the observation deck as Earth's greatest military fleet took shape in the darkness of space. 300 warships of every class imaginable stretched out before her battleships. Destroyers, carriers, and support vessels. She'd served in the Navy for 20 years, but she'd never seen anything like this. Amazing, isn't it? Said Commander Lee, joining her at the viewing window. Every ship Earth could spare, all heading into the unknown. You nodded, studying the massive dreadnought in Chien, where her crew was busy loading supplies. Sleek, elegant vessels she'd seen in the alien transmissions, human ships looked like what they were, weapons of war. Thick armor plating, multiple weapon systems, and reinforced hulls designed to take punishment and keep fighting. Take a look at this manifest. Lee handed her a datapad. Kinetic cannons, nuclear torpedoes, electromagnetic pulse weapons, chemical, explosives. We're bringing every weapon in our arsenal. Scrolled through the list, raising an eyebrow at some entries. Projectile weapons, railguns. These aliens have energy shields and quantum computers, and we're bringing bullets. Admiral, Han's orders. Lee shrugged. He says if their fancy energy weapons aren't working, maybe it's time to try something more basic. Through the deck speakers, they could hear the loading crews working around the clock. Marines carried crates of ammunition, engineers calibrated. Weapon systems and medical teams prepared field hospitals. Everyone knew they might not be coming back. Captain, you to the bridge, came the announcement. She made her way through the corridors, passing young sailors who tried to hide their nervousness. Most of them had never been in real combat, let alone against aliens from another star system. On the bridge, Navigator Wu looked up from his charts. Coordinates locked for the Zilani system. Captain, jump calculations complete. Settled into her command chair, watching her crew perform final system checks. These were good people, engineers from the asteroid mining stations, pilots who'd cut their teeth fighting pirates in the outer system, Marines who'd trained in Earth's harshest environments. All stations report ready, announced communications officer. Parked. Admiral Han's voice crackled across the fleet-wide channel, reaching every ship in the massive formation. All vessels, this is Admiral Han. In 5 minutes, we jump to hyperspace. We're answering a distress call from people we've never met to fight an enemy we don't understand. You could hear the determination in his voice, the same quality that had made humanity the dominant force in their own solar system. But here's what I know, Han continued.
Ow.
Somewhere out there, innocent people are dying. Their weapons can't stop this enemy, but maybe ours can. We're going to find out what happens when Earth goes to war. The countdown began. 300 ships aligned their jump drives, their crews taking final breaths of recycled air that still smelled like home. All ships, prepare for FTL jump. Time to answer a distress call. Space twisted around them, and 300 human warships vanished into hyperspace. Carrying Earth's fury toward the distant stars, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Zilani space with a brilliance that lit up every sensor array for light years around. 300 warships materialized in perfect formation, their dark hulls bristling with weapons that the Confederation's computers couldn't even identify. Ambassador Gene's diplomatic vessel was the first to detect them. Her crystalline form flickered with excitement as she rushed to the communication console. After cycles of waiting, someone had finally answered their desperate call for help. "Unknown vessels," she transmitted, her voice steady despite her racing hearts. "I am Ambassador Gene of the Zilani Confederation. Are you responding to our distress beacon?" The response came quickly, but it wasn't what she expected. Instead of the elegant ethereal beings she'd hoped for, a rough-looking creature appeared. On her screen, his face was marked with scars, his clothing was clearly military in design, and his eyes held the kind of hardness that came from seeing too much violence. "Admiral Han, Terran Defense Force," the being replied in a surprisingly warm tone. "We got your message. Sounds like you folks are having some trouble." Gune activated her translation protocols, but something was wrong. Her computers were struggling to process information about these newcomers. As the data streamed in, her excitement turned to confusion, then to growing horror. "You're from ... Earth?" or so whispered, her voice barely audible. "Born and raised," Admiral Han replied cheerfully, as if discussing the weather. "Beautiful planet, bit rough around the edges, but it builds character." Janae's scanners finished their analysis, and she felt her blood freeze in her veins. Oh, the data was impossible. These beings came from a Class 12 death world, a planet so hostile that advanced civilizations used it as the theoretical maximum for hostile environments. Nothing intelligent was supposed to survive on such worlds. "I'm sorry," she stammered, "but there must be some mistake. Our computers show your planet is uninhabitable. Class 12 death world status means..." "Oh, that old rating system?" Han interrupted with a laugh. "Yeah, Earth's a bit challenging. Toxic atmosphere for most species, crushing gravity, extreme weather, aggressive wildlife. But you adapt, you know?" Janae's mind reeled. These creatures had evolved on a world that would kill most galactic species in minutes. What kind of monsters had she invited into Confederation space? "Admiral," she managed to say, "perhaps we should discuss diplomatic protocols. Establish proper first contact procedures, ma'am." "With respect, your people are dying." Han cut her off, his cheerful demeanor shifting to something far more serious. "We didn't come here for a tea party, and where are these creks we need to kill?" The casual way he said "kill" sent chills through Janae's nervous system. The most civilized species spoke of neutralizing threats or establishing peace. This creature talked about ending lives like it was a routine task. "The Krek swarm is currently attacking our colony worlds in the Outer Rim," she replied weakly. "But Admiral, you should know that they're extremely dangerous. They adapt to any weapon used against them." "Sounds fun?" Han smiled, and Janae realized she'd made a terrible mistake. Ambassador Gine pressed her face against the observation deck window as the human fleet moved deeper into Zilani space. What she saw defied everything she thought she knew about intelligent life in the galaxy. The human ships moved with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. While Confederation vessels required careful navigation through the debris fields left by Krek's attacks, the human warships simply plowed straight through. Their hulls, thick and brutally functional, shrugged off impacts that would cripple her people's elegant craft. "Captain Yu," Gane called over the communication link, "your ships are taking significant debris strikes. Should we clear a safer path?" Captain Yu's laugh echoed through the speakers. "These little scratches." "Ma'am, our ships are built to ram asteroids in Earth's belt. This is nothing." Watched in fascination as human shuttles landed on a nearby moon to establish a forward base. The moon's atmosphere was pure methane, with trace amounts of sulfuric acid, deadly to every known species. Yet the human Marines walked around without any protective gear, setting up equipment as if they were strolling through a garden. Captain Jine's voice cracked with disbelief. "Your people are operating in a Class A toxic environment without life support suits." "Yeah, it's a bit thin up there," you replied casually. "The boys are complaining about the air quality. Back home, we'd call this a pleasant spring day in the industrial district." Janae's medical scanners analyzed the human physiology, and the results made her question her instruments. These beings could survive atmospheric pressures that would flatten most galactic species. Their bone density was 3 times higher than any known intelligent race. Their muscle fibers were dense enough to function in gravity wells that served as prisons for other civilizations. But what disturbed her most was their attitude. When Confederation citizens heard about the Krex swarm, they felt terror. Parents gathered their children, colonies prepared for evacuation, and even hardened military officers spoke in hushed, frightened tones. The humans were excited.
Captain, you.
I've been studying your military records, Janae said carefully. Your species seems to have extensive experience with warfare. Oh, yeah, you replied enthusiastically. We've had some good scraps over the years. It's nothing like facing an unknown enemy, though. The Marines are practically bouncing off the walls with anticipation. Janae watched human soldiers practicing combat. Drills in the shuttle bay. They moved with a fluid violence that was both beautiful and terrifying. These weren't just warriors, they were predators who had evolved on a world that tried to kill everything that lived on it. Captain, what's the most dangerous enemy your people have ever faced? You paused for a moment. Hard to say. Pirates, rebels, hostile environments, but honestly, the most dangerous thing we've ever fought is probably each other. Humans can be pretty nasty when we put our minds to it. Janae felt a chill run through her crystalline form. She'd sent out a distress call, hoping to find saviors. Instead, she was beginning to realize she'd invited something far more dangerous than the Krex into. Confederation space, the question was no longer whether these humans could defeat the swarm. The question was what they'd do afterward. The battle of Kepler's station erupted with a violence that Ambassador Janae had never witnessed in her 3 centuries of life. Through her ship's observation deck, she watched the human fleet engage the Krex swarm in combat that defied every law of civilized warfare she knew. All ships, this is Admiral Han, crackled over the communication channels. Remember, these things adapt to energy weapons, so we don't use energy weapons. Keep it simple. Keep it brutal. Janae's scanners tracked Captain Lee's destroyer Busan as it accelerated directly toward a massive Krex bioship. The organic vessel, larger than a city block, fired streams of acidic plasma that would have melted any Confederation hull. The human ship's armor simply absorbed the hits, its thick plating designed for far worse punishment. Is that ship going to evade? Janae asked, her tactical officer. No, Ambassador. It's going to ram. The Busan struck the Krex bioship at full speed, its reinforced hull cutting through organic armor like a blade through flesh. The impact sent shockwaves through both vessels. But the human destroyer kept going, carving a path straight through the enemy ship's core. Direct hit. Lee's voice came through the comm, sounding almost cheerful. That's one way to say hello. But the ramming attack was only the beginning. As Janae watched in growing horror, human Marines in bulky power armor launched themselves into space, crossing the vacuum between ships without shuttles or safety lines. They landed on Krex vessels and began cutting their way inside with tools. That looked more like construction equipment than military weapons. Those Marines are boarding enemy ships in hard vacuum, Janae whispered to herself. How are they even surviving out there? The answer came from Captain Yu's casual explanation over the fleet channel. Standard deep space assault. The suits are rated for asteroid mining operations. Boys are trained to work in vacuums since they were kids. What truly terrified Janae were the weapons the humans deployed next. While the Confederation had spent centuries developing elegant energy-based warfare, humans brought something far more primitive and deadly. Biological weapons that seemed designed by a twisted imagination. Captain Park's voice cut through the battle chatter, deploying biopackages. These are modified Earth viruses designed to target adaptive organic systems. Janae watched as human ships released clouds of microscopic weapons that seemed harmless at first. But as the Krex bioships encountered them, something horrifying happened. The aliens' greatest strength, their ability to adapt to any attack, became their weakness. The viruses turned their adaptive biology against them, causing their own defensive systems to attack their bodies. For the first time in galactic history, the Krex swarm began to retreat. Impossible, breathed Janae's tactical officer. The Kreks don't retreat. They've never retreated. Admiral Han Janae transmitted, her voice shaking. Your weapons. They're turning the Kreks' biology against itself. Yeah, that's the idea. Han replied matter-of-factly. On Earth, we learned a long time ago that sometimes the best way to fight a predator is to make it afraid of becoming prey. Janae stared at the retreating Kreks forces, then at the human fleet that had accomplished the impossible. My God, she whispered to herself. What have we done? Victory came swiftly. But it wasn't the kind of victory Ambassador Janae had imagined when she first sent the distress beacon. The human fleet moved through former Kreks territory like a methodical plague, hunting down every nest, every breeding ground, every trace of the enemy with mechanical precision that made her blood run cold. Target acquired. Captain Yu's voice crackled over the communication channel as her ship approached another Kreks breeding world, initiating planetary sterilization protocol. Janae watched from her observation post as human ships unleashed weapons she couldn't even comprehend. Not elegant energy beams or sophisticated quantum bombs, but crude, effective tools of extinction. Nuclear warheads, biological agents, and kinetic impactors that turned entire continents into smoking craters. Captain Yu, Janae transmitted. Weakly, surely some of the Kreks young could be studied, perhaps contained for research purposes. Negative, came Yu's immediate reply. Admiral's orders are clear. Total extinction. Can't risk these things adapting and coming back stronger. Systematic extermination continued for 12 standard days. 12 days of watching the humans track down every Kreks nest across 3 star systems with the kind of thorough brutality that made the Confederation's military leaders sick to their stomachs. No prisoners were taken. No mercy was shown. Humans hunted the Kreks the way their ancestors had once hunted dangerous predators on their deadly homeworld. When it was over, Admiral Han stood before the emergency session of the Confederation Council. His weathered face showed no emotion as he delivered his report with the same tone he might use to discuss supply inventories. Threat neutralized, he announced. Kreks breeding worlds sterilized. Primary hive minds eliminated. Secondary colonies destroyed. Your space is secure. Elder Vextai's tentacles writhed in distress as he struggled to find words. Admiral Han, the weapons you used, the complete destruction of entire ecosystems. Surely these tactics violate basic galactic warfare conventions.
Han's laugh echoed.
Through the council chamber, sending chills through every alien present. Galactic warfare conventions. Elder, with respect, your conventions nearly got you extinct. Sometimes you need to fight dirty to survive. But the scale of destruction, began Counselor Minho, was necessary, Han interrupted. Look, this was good training for our Marines. Back on Earth, we'd call this a police action. Small scale. Operation, limited deployment. Janae felt her crystalline form dim as the implications hit her. To the humans, this galaxy-spanning campaign of extermination was just practice. A training exercise. She thought about Earth, about what kind of conflicts these beings considered real warfare if this was just a warm-up. Admiral, she asked quietly, what happens now? What does Earth want from us? Han's expression softened slightly. We want to go home, Ambassador. We came here to help, and we helped. The Kreks are gone. You're safe. End of story. That is Janae. Looked at the human fleet, still bristling with weapons that had casually erased an entire species from existence. She realized that safety was a relative concept. They were safe from the Kreks now. But they'd invited something far more dangerous into their galaxy. Something that called genocide a training exercise. The technology exchange. Ceremony took place aboard the Confederation's flagship, but it didn't go as Ambassador Janae had expected. The Zilani engineers proudly displayed their finest achievements. Fusion drives that could power entire worlds. Quantum computers that calculated faster than light jumps. And medical nanites that could repair cellular damage in real time. Admiral. Han examined each piece of technology with polite interest. But Janae noticed something troubling in his expression. He looked like a parent watching a child show off a crayon drawing, impressed by the effort, but not particularly amazed by. The result? Your fusion drives are quite elegant, Han commented, studying the holographic display. Very clean energy output. Chief Engineer Dahl beamed with pride. They're our most advanced models. 300% more efficient than our previous generation? Impressive? Han nodded. Our reactors are a bit more crude. Just slam hydrogen atoms together until they explode. Gets the job done, though. Janae's translator struggled with Han's casual description, but when her engineers ran the calculations on human reactor output, their excitement turned to confusion, then to quiet dismay. The humans' crude reactors produced twice the energy output of Confederation technology. The pattern repeated with every exchange. Zalani medical technology that could heal most injuries in hours. It was impressive until the humans mentioned they'd been regrowing entire limbs for decades. Confederation computers that could process millions of calculations per second were sophisticated until human engineers casually mentioned their personal devices worked faster. How is this possible? Dahl whispered to Janae. It looked so primitive, Janae had no answer. The human ships were ugly, brutal-looking things compared to the elegant curves of Confederation vessels. But they worked better, much better. As the human fleet prepared to depart, Janae requested a private meeting with Admiral Han. They stood together on her ship's observation deck, watching the 300 human warships form up for their journey. Home. What happens now? She asked quietly. Han gazed out at the stars, his weathered face thoughtful. Now we go home. Back to our families, our jobs, our normal lives. The war's over. But what about the galaxy? What about us? You'll rebuild, Han said simply. You'll grow stronger. We'll be watching. Guinea felt a chill run through her crystalline form. Watching for what? For the next time someone needs help? Han replied. Hey, the galaxy's a dangerous place, Ambassador. Full of predators and bullies. Someone needs to keep an eye on things. Janae stared at the human fleet, each ship bristling with weapons that had casually erased the galaxy's most feared enemy. For whom? She asked quietly. Who is the galaxy dangerous for? Han turned to look at her, and his smile was both reassuring and terrifying. Well, that depends on whether you're planning to hurt innocent people. As the human ships vanished into hyperspace, Janae finally understood the truth. We're gone, but something far more dangerous had taken their place. The question was no longer who would protect civilization from the darkness lurking between the stars. The question was who would protect the darkness from humanity.